Hey, how's it going? We are continuing a series where we're taking a look at different governments and how some of those governments are allocating their budget. Most of those governments most likely going to be looking to upgrade its military and defense, where they're going to be allocating about roughly 2% of entire GDP to defense and or military when it comes to upgrading perhaps additional training, equipment, technology, whatever case might be, where they would decide to invest that 2%. Although I'd like to make a case that perhaps worth taking a look at research and development and how some of those governments can improve the overall performance of entire businesses, right, within those governments. So perhaps increase incentives to do some of the research and development, perhaps by giving access to different facilities. Something I have covered more in depth in the previous week. This week I'm taking a look at top performing governments, and within this video I'm going to be taking a look at Australia. Austria, Austria, and perhaps Australia as well, but not in this area. Austria is currently allocating about 3.3% of entire GDP, right? So I thought percentage is more accurate reflection of how money is allocated without going too much in the valuing of currencies and going into detail of who is spending where and what. Percentage all the time, when you yourself begin working with a budget, you would start understanding percentages and how important percentages might be, especially about some of those governments and what they are doing with their currencies. How they devaluing those, how many millions, billions, and later taking, I don't know. Is it worth anything other than perhaps the next guy who's willing to pay something for within that currency and purchase something with that paper? Let's take a look at country's budget, right? So 3.3% and Austria that we're going to be looking at. Uh, I'm taking a look at the European Innovation Scoreboard 2023, more a very recent report that was completed. I'm not entirely sure about who have done it. I'll try to do that in just a second. Perhaps worth giving enough credit. Some of the people who are doing great things worth giving enough credit. Since this report is slightly different, but let's let's set our expectations right. Australia is a strong innovator within performance at 119.9% of EU's average performance and above the average of the strong innovators. Performance is increasing at a rate lower than that of the EU. Those numbers, I don't know, it means anything to anyone. Perhaps it's compare against, right? So when it compares against, it's a lot of numbers. Doesn't really mean anything, other than they trying to compare one country against another, and then it's a little competition going. I mean, I respect that, but other than that, it doesn't really mean unless you are following this kind of competition. So then it's kind of waste of time, everyone's time. Relative strengths, perhaps key areas. Let's focus on those, and let's try to keep this video short. The attention span these days, for whatever reason, might be very short. We're trying to expand that as well within some of those videos, but either way, it's very hard to capture. Relative strength, public, private, co publications. So all the work that was completed within Austria. Myself, I'm interested to do business with them, and I have seen some high-end projects coming from there. So myself, I'm very interested. But other than that, it seems like they are accomplishing a lot of work and publishing. But myself, I don't know. Sometimes it could be published within the local language, right? Not necessarily myself. I would be able to access or read some of those publications. Other than that, foreign doctorate students, there's a lot of those. International scientists core publications. Good, good. So they do a lot of collaborations, perhaps, or work together. Design applications, government support for business research and development. So there's government support. There's some of that as well. Good, good. Myself, I do understand this culture very well. for whatever reason. I do understand this culture very well. I like to poke some fun, but some of the people out there within Germany and Austria and some of those countries are very serious, if anything. Perhaps worth taking notice of that and giving enough credit for people who are very serious when it comes to business. As well as worth taking a look at perhaps some of the key areas, relative weaknesses. Broadband penetration, so internet connection. I think some of those areas are currently being addressed. Perhaps it's just a pushback about some of those contractors who have or received contract or gonna be doing some of that work when it comes to broadband penetration and winning some of those government contracts. If anything, that perhaps would be more of an issue other than perhaps local people who should be doing that and who perhaps will win the contract worth taking note of. Other than that, would be non-research and development innovation expenditures. So other expenditures, perhaps relative weaknesses. Okay, venture capital expenditure. So perhaps there isn't that lot, or perhaps there's not necessarily systems to do that. Myself, I'm always interested in doing that, but perhaps they are not interested for outside funding coming in, perhaps because they would come with different contracts, right? It depends when we're talking about venture capital. Perhaps there's a reason why there isn't a lot of people coming from outside and investing in some of those projects, which I kind of understand. Knowledge intensive service exports. Okay, it's a very niche area. Okay, enterprise providing ICT training. So perhaps developing local businesses, but I think they're slightly different. I don't know. I like to look at the overall as an industry. I think they are more tend to perhaps develop from very early age when it comes to raising its force, right? So developing people from very young age, perhaps 16 years old, where people would develop their skills, if that makes sense. And from there, they progress into workforce and start businesses. That's the way how I'm looking at it. Not necessarily share that knowledge with others, but they would develop their workforce from very young age. That's the way how I'm looking at it. Strong increases since 2016, that would be public-private co-publications, international scientific co-publications, and foreign doctorate students. Some of those increase, there are large influx of foreigners in Austria for whatever reason, which is kind of great, I think, if that's something that they're interested in doing. There's a lot of influx of the additional workforce, labor force, there's some upside to that. Strong decrease since 2016. That would be enterprise providing ICT training, innovative SMEs collaborative with others. So there's perhaps less opportunities or perhaps less people interested in collaborating with others. So at least they have highlighted that. I don't know. Again, I'll try to reach out and see if they would be interested in collaborating and working together. But since this is what it says on 2023 report, perhaps if they have infrastructure when it comes to working together, if it has as a nation infrastructure, that's a starting block, right? From there we can progress in perhaps hiring a couple of people to reach out or answer emails, and from there we can progress in how we can progress forward, right? Small steps, come on. From there, a strong increase since 2022. Government support for businesses, in particular research and development. Okay, good. Something that myself I'm interested in. I have seen a lot of opportunities coming from UK collaborating with not necessarily limited to Austria, but there are a lot of parts of the world where there's a lot of opportunities there. But in some cases, there already need to be existing relationship for whatever with business, right? So they could perhaps complete something and then it would be like marathon, right? Well, pass it to them, they complete some part. But I don't know, I think it could benefit everyone involved, right? At least it should. So hopefully they would focus some of those governments more on that. Hopefully. Employment ICT specialist and as well as enterprise providing ICT training. So that was a strong increase, and we're looking at a strong decrease in 2022. Job to job mobility of HRST as well as business process innovators. Okay, okay. I don't know how they measure some of those. I don't know how they measure those, but they, if anything, should constantly looking for ways to improve. Then I'm looking at some of those industries, and I'm looking into some of those top projects without promoting some of those I have covered and done some of those case studies when it comes to Austria and some of those projects coming from there. Seems that they're doing great work. I don't know. It seems like they're doing great, but I don't know how they measure this particular area when it comes to business process innovation and how they measure that. But some of the one of the best performing businesses that I have done case studies on, they're coming from Austria. But either way, sales of innovative products. So, we're looking at a lot at addressing this issue. I don't know how accurate this part is, but it seems that they have highlighted within the report that some of those areas worth taking a look at. I don't know how accurate it is and how they're measuring this kind of area. Yourself, if you're interested in learning more, I have published a course. Within this course, I have highlighted 12 different areas where everyone should begin and start with starting blocks, where everyone should start, right? Some of those areas haven't been taught in school. I had to learn it for myself, as well as I'm looking to share this knowledge with others within this course. If you have any questions, if you're interested in developing yourself, I would highly recommend please start at starting blocks, very fundamental course, right? 12 different areas. Some of those areas would be how to structure and begin with a budget. That would be something that I'm looking to cover with a number of videos where I'm looking at the governments and government expenditure when it comes to percentage and how much and where some of that percentage is allocated within the governments, as well as how we potentially can help you, guide you how to manage your own personal budget, and from there you can progress in managing professionals. So that would be different projects and how to manage different budgets. Yeah. So that would be just one area. Feel free to reach out to me, or if you would like to purchase that, would be QR code in the corner or company's website below. There are names. I don't know if I can can share names just because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But there's a names about people who have completed this particular report. I will share more details about this report for any of you who are interested in reading this report, which is great. There should be more people who are completing some of those reports, so there potentially can be credit given to those people on and or what information has been shared with some of those reports. This report seems very accurate, if anything, but if anything, there's highlighted some of those areas that these people particularly are interested in. It's kind of great, but isn't such a big report. But either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.